Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be reviewing the new Ninja Foodi Flip Toaster. Never heard of it? Well, stick around and find out everything you ever wanted to know about it. So you ready? Let's get into this. Just a quick note, this review is based on our experiences and the types of things that we think are important. Those things might be a little bit different for you, so what we recommend is after watching our video, you check out a few other videos online, just so you get a wider range of experiences and opinions on this thing. That way you can make a more informed buying decision, and at the end of the day, that's the most important thing of all. The Ninja Foodi Flip Toaster is a reimagination of the combination of a toaster and an oven. I know you're gonna say, yeah, we have toaster ovens already, but this is a little bit different because toaster ovens typically are ovens first and toasters second. So that toaster functionality really doesn't work all that well a lot of times. In Ninja's case, I'll go ahead and pull the bake pan out here for you so you can see. This is a full-fledged toaster, complete with its own toasting controls here. However, the difference between this and regular toasters is that the toaster's on a hinge and this can be rotated down into an oven just like this. As you can see, there's completely separate controls here for the oven. And when in this configuration, you can use this bake tray and it works just like a regular oven, albeit very small. The best thing is when you're not using it, this can be flipped back up. And as you can see, it has an extremely small footprint. It's about the same size footprint as a large 2-slice toaster. This has got two separate control areas here, one for the toaster and one for the oven. As you can see, it's got this little red light here to tell you what mode it's in, but if it's flipped up this way, it is a toaster, and if it's flipped down the other way, it's an oven. Shouldn't be all that hard to remember that. In toaster mode, you have controls for shade, which is how dark you're gonna cook your toast. It ranges all the way from 1 here to 7 maximum. Then in your options down here, you have toast, you have bagels, and you also have a defrost button here that can be flipped on for both. Meaning if you're the kind of person that likes to keep your bread in the freezer, you have that option here with either one. The slot on the toaster is extra wide so it can accommodate everything from thin slices of toast all the way up to deli bagels. This is designed for 2 slices. You can probably fit more in there, but I wouldn't recommend doing that because you're gonna get a toast on one side if you do. Other than that, you just have the lever on the side to start your toast. And if you pull this lever down while it's off, it'll start a toast using the last settings you used when you used the toaster. And as you can see, the heating elements get up to temperature really, really quickly. If we flip the toaster down, you can see it automatically switches over to baking mode and says lock here on the screen. That's saying that you need to lock out the lever here in order to use the oven. So you go ahead and pull the lever back, locks it out, and then all your baking controls come on. Here, you can customize the temperature all the way up to 400 degrees maximum. You can set it to bake, you can set it to broil, or you can just set it to reheat something that you've already cooked before. So for instance, if we were going to bake, we'd select bake, we'd select our temperature, maybe we say 375. We'd load up whatever we wanted onto our baking tray here, slide that into the machine, just hit start, and then it'll start at 1 minute, and we can just adjust our time with the time controls here. And then once you let go, it'll blink a few times and then it'll continue on from there. Now, I don't know how well you can tell in the video, but you can already see all of the heating elements in this thing are already lit up. The oven on this takes up a very, very small amount of space. So what that means for you is that when you bake or broil something in here, it gets up to temperature almost immediately, which is saying a lot if you ever tried to cook something in an oven and you had to wait for it to preheat. You're talking about 10, 15 minutes a lot of time, even if you're doing something small. So in the case of this thing, if you're doing something small that would fit in here, you're probably gonna be done cooking it before your oven even preheats. So that's pretty cool. As far as construction goes, it's like most other Ninja products. It is predominantly plastic, and it is wrapped with a little bit of stainless steel here to make it look nice. That's one thing about Ninja products, they always end up looking nice and they always come in at a good price point. You can see the vents right here, so if you see a little bit of smoke coming out of here whenever you're cooking, don't worry, that's where it's supposed to be coming out of. If you see a ton of smoke coming out of here, it probably means you're burning the crap out of something and you need to quit cooking immediately and possibly call the fire department.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
If you look at the back of the machine on the rear feet, it's got a couple of grommets here to catch your power cable. And I kind of thought that was pretty cool, actually. And that does serve a function because remember, this thing is going to be flipping up and down. And as you can see, that does keep that power cord out of the way so you can flip this properly. The only other things that we feel like we need to mention about this is that on the box, it says this is a touch screen, but this is definitely not a touch screen. These are all just physical buttons here, and you can actually hear them if you listen really closely. Like that. So those of you that just get really excited about touchscreens, watch out because this says it has one and it does not. Ninja Kitchen, if you're watching this video, you might want to address that. So now we're gonna go ahead and move into our toasting test. What we're gonna do for this test is we're gonna toast 2 pieces of bread at each toast setting, and we're gonna leave all the time settings and everything at the defaults. Then we'll line them up and we'll see how well it toasts each one. So let's go ahead and get this going, starting at shade level 1. By the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Before we go and check out all these different toasts that we did, we're going to go ahead and throw some bagels in too. We're going to go ahead and test 2 sets of bagels. We'll do one at shade level 1 and we'll do one at shade level 5, which is about kind of where the wheels were starting to fall off of this thing a little bit. So we'll start with 1, and we're also going to put these in opposite ways as well. Just looking at these right off, you'll see that there's a nice transition between 1, 2, 3, and 4. But then when you get to 5, 6, and 7, level 6 actually looks a little bit lighter than level 5. Yeah, that's pretty consistent. And then level 7
looks like level 7.
So if this were to be like this, then that would kind of look like a pretty even transition, going from nice toast over here to annihilated toast over here.
Bruh.
As far as consistency goes, let's check these out. If we flip these over, it looks like we've got pretty even toasting on back and front and on left and right here on 1. And on 2, it's looking pretty good. And 3, looking pretty good as well. And as we go along here, it looks like all this toast is pretty consistent on the front and back, and to the left and the right, for the most part here. Now, when you start getting all the way up here, especially these last 2, level 6 and level 7, these are levels at which I would never have toast at. Let me know down in the comments if you ever cook toast all the way on the darkest setting. I'd like to know what kind of results you end up getting from those. As far as the bagel settings go, level 1, a little bit soft there. It's not really toasted all that much. But I mean, really, at level 1, it's got little crispy edges here and stuff, and that's about it. So really, that's kind of where you would expect level 1 on a bagel to be anyway. Just a tiny bit of crunch there. And if we move all the way over here to level 5, this outside edge here, that's really crunchy. And the inside here, it's got a little bit of crunch to it as well. All right, that's looking more like it on the bagels. You can see that's nice and toasty. And that's at level 7 here. And as you can see, that looks really good. On the thicker piece, you've got a lot darker. The skinnier piece, not so much, but it is really crunchy here. And I'm going to associate that with the fact that it's really skinny and it wasn't getting as close to the heating elements as this other side is. So that's okay, because it is nice and crunchy. So for me at level 7 with the bagels, this is probably pretty close to the way I'd be making them for myself. As far as all this toast across the board, one thing I noticed with this toaster is that the timer never reached 0 before it went ahead and popped the toast out. So I think it's got some kind of temperature sensor or something like that in there that will pop the toast out when it thinks it's ready. So on every one of these, there was someplace between 20 and 35 seconds left on the timer when it went ahead and shot the toast or the bagels out. So as far as the toasting test is concerned, I'd say 1 through 5-ish are pretty darn good. And really that's where I'd be toasting my bread anyway. 6 and 7 are pretty burned to a crisp. But then again, I would never be selecting level 6 or 7 on that anyway. As far as the bagels go, 1, that's a little bit too light for me, but a lot of people like it that way. The 5, that was a little bit, I was expecting that to be a little bit darker. And the highest setting on the bagels is actually closer to what I was thinking it would be, like around here someplace. But overall, it did do a nice job. It was very consistent between the pieces. And you can see a pretty nice progression between 1 and 7. To test the oven functions, we did a few different things. First, we made some s'mores. That was a really good opportunity to test the broil function in the flip toaster. And really, that didn't disappoint at all. In just about a minute, we were able to pull those marshmallows out and they had a great crunch to them and a nice dark exterior. For our second test, we used a bagel to make a couple of personal-sized pepperoni pizzas. And that just consisted of the bagels, a little bit of spaghetti sauce, some mozzarella cheese, and some thin slices of pepperoni. We threw those into the flip toaster and baked them at 350 degrees. And in about 12 minutes or so, this was our result. Really nicely melted cheese, crispy pepperoni, and surprisingly crispy bagels, seeing as how we didn't actually even pre-toast those or anything. Just the sheer speed that this got done was pretty impressive, considering the fact that it would have taken us more than that amount of time just to preheat our oven. For our third test, we made some multi-layer nachos just to kind of show exactly how much can fit into the flip toaster all at one time. We got 3 layers of tortilla chips and cheese in there, along with an additional layer of refried beans as well. We gave it about 15 minutes or so at 350 degrees. By the time it came out, everything was thoroughly heated. All the cheese was melted, along with some crispy bits around the edges. Transferring off the baking plate was really easy too, considering that plate doesn't have high sides or anything that make it hard to get into. And the overall quality of the finished product was pretty fantastic. So in a nutshell, the bake and the broil functions both worked a lot better than we thought they were going to, and they took a heck of a lot less time than we expected. So what do we think about Ninja's new Ninja Foodi Flip Toaster? It's actually a really great kitchen appliance. The toasting function works really well. A couple of the darkest settings left a little bit to be desired, but to be totally honest, I don't like the darkest settings on any toaster. It also has a slide out crumb tray in the bottom that makes cleaning up a little bit easier. The bake functions were fantastic. It's a very small oven, so therefore it heats up very quick, and it's going to be something in your kitchen that's going to be really useful, especially if you have little small things you want to make. Beginning to end, everything we made with the oven function was done in under 15 minutes total. That's really awesome considering the fact that your full-sized oven is going to take almost that amount of time just to preheat. And the fact that it did everything that we threw at it as well as it did is a huge plus. As far as construction goes, it's all plastic with a little bit of stainless steel over the top of certain parts. I mean, that's pretty typical, especially when you're talking about stuff that's in the price range that Ninja's in. Are there appliances made with higher quality materials? Of course. But none of those are in this price range either. In our kitchen, counter space is prime real estate. And when you have something like the Ninja Foodi Flip Toaster, you essentially have 2 appliances that take up the space of a toaster. So even in our limited space, we could still find a spot for it, no problem. As far as warranties and durability goes, Ninja Kitchen covers this thing for a year, which is pretty typical, especially with something in this price range. And as far as durability goes, that's just something that's really difficult for us to talk about in a review. We can't say the thing is going to last forever, but at the same time, we can't say it's going to break immediately either. All we can tell you is that we didn't experience any kind of problems in any of our testing and the thing is working perfectly fine. Different people might have different experience. Hopefully, if you pick one of these up, you'll have the same experience that we did. However, if this thing breaks on us, you guys will be the first to find out. So at the end of the day, if you're looking at toasters and toaster ovens, you might want to check out the Ninja Foodi Flip Toaster. We like it and think it's a pretty neat product, and if you'd like a little more information about it, we do have an Amazon affiliate link for it down in the description of our video. I thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day to watch this video. It really means a lot to me, and I can't wait to see you back again here really soon. So until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.